What's up, party people? Todd Tramonte here with my buddy Jason Simard again for another dual threat conversation where you get not one but two opinions, thoughts, ideas around something real estate related. You never know what we're working on, where we might be challenging each other, sharpening each other, or maybe just trying to pitch in and help somebody else out. And that's what we've got today. Jason and I are in an online forum for Real Geeks users, and Jason was generously sharing some good info on avoiding analysis paralysis, which we have done. I think we did a show or just a discussion on that once before, so that's not our topic, but that sort of turned into some really honest feedback from people, and I really like the way this guy said it. So I'm just going to read it, and then I'll volley it back to you, Jason, and kind of get your thoughts on this because that's kind of how this all started. But the comment was basically, I still have no idea what you mean when you say take ridiculous levels of action. And then it went on to kind of say, it would be really great if you would share what it looks like to separate high level of action versus busy work, right?
Okay.
So if you don't mind, just for everyone on a broad level breaking down, what does it look like for you to be kind of highest, I'll say dollar productive activity, but it's not always shortest path to dollars, the highest level of productivity versus a lot of busyness and action?
Sure. Okay, cool. Well, what I basically was referring to when I said that, there's so many agents that get into the business and they are constantly looking for a secret pill, a secret something that's just going to get the magic formula, and all of a sudden they're going to hit a seven-figure business, and it doesn't exist. So they're constantly trying to find like a new tool. Well, they're going to I want to learn about Facebook targeting. Well, I heard that this website's better than another website, so they want to go and jump on that. And that's busy work. Working and having like a perfect file and like everything being squeaky clean, that's busy work.
Yeah.
When I talk about income producing activities is doing things like prospecting. And what is prospecting? Well, prospecting would be sending out a phone call, a text message, an email, blasting your database. Maybe you're sending out 100 text messages to your database, and there's ways you can do that through Real Geeks. It could be door knocking. It could be running an open house. It could be showing properties. It could be going to market evaluations. It could be going and putting on a networking event where you're meeting new people. It could be reaching out and talking to new strategic key partners that you could develop a referral relationship with. Those are income producing activities that may not produce income today, but a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, there's definitely opportunity that business can come from it. So if you're doing those levels of activities, it's impossible, if you do them with the right intent, the right focus, that you will not see a long-term result from that. It's impossible. It has to be consistent, and you can't expect that you do that for a week and all of a sudden you've hit a seven-figure business. You have to do it day in, day out, and on a weekly, monthly basis. And it literally will transform your business because, well, like Todd's probably going to talk about, there's a compounding effect that'll happen. Momentum is built on action. And so many people are trying to do everything perfect. Well, I don't have the perfect drip campaign. Well, I don't have the perfect script to call somebody. Well, guess what? Life's about trying and learning. And we all learn how to walk by crawling first and falling. And so it's the same way in business. So I'd rather go and try a bunch of things and fail and learn from it and become stronger than sit back and have the perfect plan that never gets executed. So that's what I meant when I said that. Income producing activities are anything that you're doing to connect proactively with someone and provide value and helpfulness. And if you're doing that 90% of your time, you will be incredibly successful. If you do that 10% of your time, that's where you're going to struggle and you're going to wonder why your business is inconsistent. Todd, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think where you just wrapped it up is really powerful for people, because if you do this 80+% of the time, 90% of the time, it's very difficult to miss the direct correlation with amazing results. But if you do this 10, 20, 30, even maybe 40 or 50, there's a disconnect. It's got to be consistent. And I think that's kind of what one of your core battle cries is, which I appreciate. This idea of analysis paralysis is very near to your heart, right? It's one of your core passions. I've seen you share and teach and train and coach on this several times, quite a few times. And so that's why I like hearing you talk about it. I appreciate it. I share a lot of those thoughts, but I know this is one of your big drivers. And so many people, they'll get hardcore prospecting for a week or two, and then they move over here to something else. Well, so much of that effort is going to just fall off the cliff and is never going to amount to anything because there was no consistency to it. So that's a huge piece of it. And so you immediately made me think of Darren Hardy's book, The Compound Effect, which I have a stack of them because it's required reading for our new team members. But it's basically what Jason was just saying. It's to do the activities that actually affect your bottom line. Now, I introed with there are some activities that are important that are not necessarily direct short-term dollar productive. Like, for example, well, let's not go all that route. But if you're a team leader, there's going to be some things you do to serve your team members that are long-term strategy oriented, that aren't like, oh, more closings next month, that you still need to do. But to help distinguish between what was asked here, what is kind of highest efficient value activities versus busy work, you can make yourself busy by searching the MLS all day and getting to know areas and becoming an expert, which I love expertise. It's one of my core driving principles. But there's a point where you're going to learn that much better by getting in the game and working some transactions and talking to real live clients and potential clients, and making some mistakes and getting some help and trial and error. On a team like Jason's or team or brokerage like mine, you're going to do that with some experts around you. So you're not going to be working without a net. You're not going to fail and really, really, make a huge mistake. But I also think a lot of this has to do with how you manage your time, and we're not going to do a whole deal on time management. But as you prioritize the activities that you ought to be after, those need to go into a calendar or a schedule or whatever. And so when you visually look at that, there's no time left over to spend 2 hours on Facebook wasting time telling yourself, well, I was prospecting, I was stirring up business. No, 10 minutes you were. The other hour 50 you were wasting time. But if your calendar had said 2.5 hours of whatever, lead follow-up, database follow-up, warm lead follow-up, whatever, that you had decided strategically was a dollar productive activity or your highest value activity, then you just leave very little room left over to end up occupying your time with busy work. Now, I know that the gentleman that was asking this question has been on a hardcore path of discipline and a ton of prospecting lately. So without calling him out, I would really congratulate him, but I would say he's pretty clear on what those are. Where he's starting to lose some clarity is, okay, I've prospected 2, 3, 4 hours today. I do need to turn my attention to other things. Obviously, working deals with clients is one of those things. Then there are some of those areas in between, like, some social media marketing is great. 2 hours goofing off is bad. Doing an open house is great. Shooting the bull with a bunch of people at a so-called networking event might be a huge waste of your time. So those are kind of my initial thoughts. And for the sake of a good, tight, compact show, let me bounce it back to you. Any feedback, thoughts, anything we haven't mentioned yet?
Yeah, no, I like it. And a lot of people ask me all the time, hey, what was it that made you successful? And it was just that I didn't have the perfect drip campaign. I didn't have the perfect email system. I didn't have the perfect website. I just had tons of action, and I was like so laser focused on the right activities, which would give me momentum where I can meet new buyers and sellers. That's what made me successful. I was so busy that I couldn't complete my work every day because I was so focused on that one thing. And I'm going to challenge you that if you're not so busy that you're actually leaving work almost for the next day, then you need to just really get tunnel vision and focus on those income producing activities and embrace the failures that come along the way. When you get rejected, you're a step closer to success. That's just part of the journey. Like, you have to embrace that. I get rejected almost every day, every week. I get rejected in some way, shape, or form every single week. Yep. And people tell me I'm successful. So if that's the case, then just get excited about it, because you're always a step closer to a win. I'm sorry I had to keep this super compact today because I got to run, but Todd, I'll turn it back over to you, and I have to check out. But that's my thought. Just get doing something, and then you know what? When you're so busy and you're drinking through a fire hose, it's amazing. We can then take the steps back and start putting those systems in play. But having everything perfect right off the bat and then going, not going to give you the financial security you need to feel confident to take those 2 steps back. I'd rather you
it
were
doesn't
so
happen
busy.
either. You never get to the point, if you're a reasonable adult, of being like, oh, we've got it all figured out. It's perfectly neat. That doesn't happen. So appreciate it,
No.
man. I'll wrap it up here and I'll
Thanks.
check with you on the next one. My perspective of that is I didn't get going as quick as Jason. I had a ton of action, but it wasn't always the right activities because I didn't have stuff like this to point me in the right direction. So where Jason just kind of nailed it real quick to wrap up is on the right activity. Tons of action is awesome, but you can still do a ton of the wrong stuff. And it took me a little bit longer to get my business really cranking than Jason did because he had a real clear picture of what to do. So for me, I had to learn that there wasn't a whole lot outside of prospecting, client care, tracking, and following through on those things that I needed to be doing, like Jason just said, until I was leaving work left over. Then I needed to build systems and structure and leverage and hire and do some of those things because I couldn't get to it all. But I'm a business owner minded person. In the beginning, I kind of wanted to get to ownership a little bit before I had really pounded the pipeline. See you, buddy. I'll wrap it up in like 1 minute. But anyway, I just wanted to illustrate that not everybody gets cranking as quickly as he did. For me, I had to learn not only massive action, that I kind of had that mentality, but I had to add on the right activities. And if you're struggling to know what those are, they are absolutely, prospecting, tracking, client care, and delivering world-class value. Beyond that, once you get really rolling, you can start thinking about hiring, leverage, system structure, and all those things. And those are all beautiful things. But as far as massive action on the right things, you're looking for your highest level of dollar productive activity. And as you get really cranking, things like dropping off lock boxes and signs and delivering checks can be delegated, or you can pay a courier or something like that so that you can stay on prospecting, client care, closing, funding, things like that. And then as you really begin to scale, if you want to build a business or maybe get out of production, then that's where some of that systems development and things like that can really come in. So anyway, appreciate Jason for sharing his thoughts. Happy to share mine. Hopefully this was really, really valuable for you. Drop a comment below. If you're on the podcast, make sure you're downloading and subscribing. We'll keep doing these things for folks as long as we know that they've been valuable to you. If ever one of us could help you out in a coaching or consulting aspect, both of our contact information is below, and both of us offer some stuff in that regard. If we can help you, great. If not, stay tuned. We'll keep doing these in the future. We will talk to you on the next one. Over and out.